Hey guys! Welcome back to my channel. If you like my videos, please like and subscribe. Today we're going to be learning about how to solve an equation to find the perimeter. Let's get started. So first we're going to review what perimeter is. Perimeter is the sum of the lengths of the sides that make up a 2D shape. And so let's say we have this pentagon right here, and this pentagon has all of these different side lengths. Now obviously this pentagon isn't drawn to scale, but if we wanted to find the perimeter, how would we do it? Well, to find the perimeter, all we have to do is just add up all of the sides together. And so perimeter would be equal to the sum of all of the sides. So 12, 14, 3, 6, and 19. And so 12 plus 14 plus 3 plus 6 plus 19 is equal to 54. And so the perimeter of this pentagon right here is 54. Now, one more important thing to note is that usually you'll have units written by the numbers, by the sides. So let's say like 12 inches or something. This one does not have any units written by the numbers, and so we're just going to write that the perimeter is 54 U, or U for units. So the perimeter of this is 54 units. Let's move on to the next one. So our next one, we're going to be talking about expressions. So what are expressions? Expressions are variable and or constant terms connected through operations. And so let's say again I had the same pentagon but with different side lengths. So we have 4, 3x, x minus 3, x, and 26 as the side lengths, and let's assume that the units for all of these side lengths are in meters. So all of this is in meters. Okay. And so what we want to do for this one is to write an expression for the perimeter. And so we said an expression was a variable and or constant terms connected through operations. And so you guys may be wondering what a variable or a constant term is. So a variable term is a term with a variable in it. And so if I look over here on this one right here, this one is just 4. It doesn't have anything, it's just a number. And so that is not a variable term. If I look to the right over here, there's a 3x. The 3x has a variable in it, the x, and so this would be considered a variable term. This next one over here, x minus 3, also has the variable x in it, and so this would also be considered a variable term. On the bottom here, this one is also just x, so this would also be considered a variable term. Now, for constant terms, on the left of this one is just a 26. It doesn't have a variable in it, and so this would be a constant term. And so a constant term is really just a plain number. So on top over here, 4 is just a plain number, and so that would also be a constant term. And so to write the expression for the perimeter of this pentagon, we're just going to add everything up. So it would be the sum of 4, 3x, x minus 3, x, and 26. Now you might have noticed that I put a parenthesis around x minus 3. This is because since x minus 3 is a binomial with multiple terms whose length is equal to one side of the pentagon, we want to keep the entire binomial together in our work. And we do that by enclosing it with parentheses. And so this would be our expression for the perimeter of this pentagon, but you can see that since there are x terms and then there are two whole numbers right there, we can combine them to make a simpler expression. So we can simplify this expression. And so to do this, we're first just going to add all of the x terms, which is going to be 3x, this x right here, and just this x over here. We're not going to add in the minus 3 with this because even though the x minus 3 expression is the whole expression for one side of the pentagon, the minus 3 can't be added with the x's because it wouldn't combine to create a simpler term. And so to do this, we have 3x plus x plus x. So 3x plus x is 4x, plus another x would be 5x. Now we're going to add all of the constant terms. So that is 4, 26, and this 3. And now this isn't just 3, this is negative 3. So you have to be sure when you are adding this, you are adding negative 3, not just 3. And so we're going to combine all the constants. So 4 plus 26 is equal to 30. And now we have our negative 3 here. And so 30 plus negative 3 is the same thing as 30 minus 3, 27. And so we're going to add it right here, plus 27. And so this isn't complete just yet. Since our terms were in meters, we have to write this meter unit right here to indicate that this 5x plus 27 is not in inches or in feet. It is in meters. And so our final expression for the perimeter of this pentagon right here would be 5x plus 27 meters. Let's move on to the next one. Over here, we're going to be talking about equations. Equations are two expressions that are set equal to each other. And so I'm going to give the same example over here, the one with the pentagon, and I'm going to use the same numbers that I used in the expression example above. And let's say, along with the side lengths of this pentagon, they had given us the actual value of the perimeter of the pentagon. And so let's say that the perimeter of the pentagon is 107 meters. And all of the side lengths of the pentagon are also in meters. And so since we already have the perimeter, what we're going to do is we're going to write an equation that has the expression of the perimeter equal to the actual value of the perimeter. And so if you recall, the expression of the perimeter that we found for this same pentagon in the above question about expressions was 5x plus 27. And so since we already have this expression of the perimeter, we're just going to set it equal to the actual perimeter, which is 107. It's written down there. We're going to set it equal to 107. Now I could just be done and say that, hey, this is my equation, but you have to really pay attention to what the question is asking for. If the question is asking for just the equation, then you just leave it at this. But if it asks you to find the equation of the perimeter and solve, you're going to just solve for the variable that is in the equation. And so I'm going to say that we want to solve for this equation. And so we're going to use what we learned last week, and we're going to solve this equation. And first we're going to get the x term alone. And so to do this, we're going to subtract 27 from this side and from this side. And so we have 5x, and the negative 27 cancels out the positive 27, which leaves us with just 5x, which is equal to 107 minus 27, which is 80. Now we're going to divide both sides by 5 to just get the x term. So 5x over 5 is just x, and 80 over 5 is 16. And so we have right here x is equal to 16, but remember that this was all in meters. So our final answer has to have the unit of meters somewhere in the answer. And so what we're going to do is we're going to say x is equal to 16 meters to get that meters in there. And so this is our final answer. X is equal to 16 meters. Now that we reviewed what perimeter was, what makes an expression, and how to write and solve an equation for perimeter, let's move on to the next page for some practice problems. Problem 1 says to write an expression for the perimeter of the following. So we just want a nice, clean, and simplified equation for the perimeter of each of these shapes. And so the first one is a triangle. And so the first one is a triangle. And so we're just going to add up all of the sides. And so it's x. And so side 1 is x plus 12. Side 2 is 56. And side 3 is 3x. And so this is our expression for the perimeter, but again, we want to simplify this to make it a simplified equation. And so to simplify it, we're going to just first we're going to add all of the variable terms. And so in this one we have 2, which is the x, and the 3x. And so x plus 3x is equal to 4x. And then we're going to add the constant terms, which is 12 and 56, which is equal to 68. And so we're going to add 68, and this is our simplified expression. And so since it didn't specify any units up there, we're just going to write units. And so this is our answer right here. 5x plus 68 units is the expression for the perimeter of this triangle. Our next one is a rectangle. And in this rectangle, you can see that we only have 2 side lengths written. We have x and we have x plus 18 on the sides. And so we need to know what these other 2 sides are. If you notice, there are lines on this rectangle. These 2 sides have 1 line, and these 2 sides have 2 lines. And so what do these lines mean? Well, these lines mean that the sides are congruent. And so if this side has 1 line and this side also has 1 line, that means these 2 sides are congruent, which would also mean that they have the same length. And so this side would also be x. And since this side has 2 lines and the opposite side also has 2 lines, that means this side on the right would also be a length of x plus 18. And so what we're going to do is, instead of individually adding them like x plus x plus x plus 18 plus x plus 18, there is a faster way to do this. How we're going to solve this is that since there are 4 sides here and the horizontal sides have the same length and the vertical sides have the same length, what we can do is just add x plus 18 and x, and then put these in parentheses and multiply everything by 2. Multiply this entire thing by 2. What multiplying 2 by this does is that we need 2 of these horizontal sides, and we need 2 of these vertical sides. And so by taking just 1 of the vertical sides and 1 of the horizontal sides and multiplying it by 2, it would give us the same result as it would if we just added all 4 of the sides together, but in a kind of faster way. And so to solve this, first we're going to solve inside of the parentheses, and we're going to combine like terms inside. And so we have the x and the x that we're going to combine first. So that's going to be 2 times 2x plus 18. And now that everything inside the parentheses is simplified, we can use the distributive property and we can multiply out everything to get our final answer. And so 2 times 2x is equal to 4x, and 2 times 18 is equal to 36. And so 4x plus 36 would be our simplified expression for the perimeter of this rectangle. And again, there are no units of measurement specified for this, so we're just going to write units at the end so that we can have that there. And so this would be our final answer for this rectangle. Moving on to the next one, we have a hexagon, and it only gives us one of the side lines. But if you look at the hexagon, there are again lines on each side. The side that gives us the length of x plus 4 has 1 line underneath it, and all of the rest of the sides also have 1 line. So we can say that all of these sides are equal to x plus 4. And so like we did in the last one, instead of just adding x plus 4 plus x plus 4 plus x plus 4 plus x plus 4 and so on, we can just go and we can do x plus 4 and then put the x plus 4 in parentheses and multiply everything by 6. We are multiplying everything by 6 because we need 6 of these x plus 4 sides. And so instead of just adding x plus 4 6 times, we can just multiply x plus 4 by 6. And so to solve this, we are going to use the distributive property since there is nothing to simplify inside the parentheses. So x times 6 is equal to 6x, and x times 4 is equal to 24. So we're going to add 24. And so this is our resulting expression, and there are no units of measurement specified, so again, it's just units here. And so this is our answer for this hexagon. Let's move on to the next question. Problem 2 says write an equation for the perimeter of the following. And so remember, an equation is just two expressions set equal to each other. And so for this triangle, we have different side lengths, and we also have the perimeter of the triangle given to us. And so we're just going to add up all the sides, simplify it, and then set it equal to the perimeter amount right here. And so first we're adding x minus 17, 34, and x together. And so now that we have our expression, we're going to first simplify this and then set it equal to the value of the perimeter. So first add up all of the x terms, which is this x and this x. So that is 2x. And then you add up the negative 17. Be sure to take note of the negative. And we're going to add 34. And so 34 plus negative 17 is the same thing as 34 minus 17, which is equal to just positive 17. So 2x plus 17 is our expression. And so 2x plus 17 is our simplified expression for the perimeter of this triangle. And now we're just going to set the expression of the perimeter of the triangle to the actual value of the perimeter of the triangle, which is 23. And so if you look at the actual problem, it just tells us to write the equation, and it doesn't tell us to solve, so I'm just going to leave this here at that. So the equation for this one is 2x plus 17. Moving on to the next one. This one also does sort of the same thing, and we see again the lines that we saw in the problem above. And so we're going to do the same thing that we did with the triangle. We're just going to add up the sides, simplify the expression, and then set it equal to the value of the perimeter, which in this case is 112. And since we have these lines here, it tells us that the length of this side is also 4.5x, as seen as the two lines right here. And the 2.5x on this side is also equal to 2.5x on this side, as seen on the double lines on each side. And so again, instead of just adding 2.5x plus 2.5x plus 4.5x plus 4.5x, we're just going to take the 2.5x and add 4.5x and then multiply everything by 2. And so 2.5x and 4.5x. And then we're going to put these in parentheses and multiply it by 2. And so first what we're going to do is simplify inside of the parentheses. And they're both x terms here. And so we're going to add 2.5x plus 4.5x is equal to 7x. And then put these in parentheses and multiply it by 2. And so 2 times 7x is equal to 14x. And so 14x can't be simplified any further, so this is already our simplified expression, and we're just going to set it equal to 112, which is the value of the perimeter right here. And so this is our equation for the perimeter. Our next one is a hexagon, and it's similar to the last one because it has the single and double lines, and it also has the triple lines right here. And so we're going to use sort of the same method that we did back here on the second one on this problem. And so what we're going to do, we're going to just add all of these sides and multiply it by 2 to get the rest of the sides added to find the expression of the perimeter. And so it's going to be 2x, and then x minus 5, and 8, and we're going to put this in parentheses and then multiply everything by 2. And so this is our expression, but again, we need to simplify. And so first we're just going to add all of the like terms inside the parentheses. I'm going to start with the variables. So for the variables, we have 2x and the positive x over here. And so it's going to be 2 times 2x plus x is equal to 3x. And then we're going to add the constant terms, which is the -5 right here, and the 8. And so -5 plus 8 is equal to positive 3. And so it's going to be 3x plus 3. And put a closed parentheses around it. And now we're going to distribute. 2 times 3x is equal to 6x. And then 2 times 3 is equal to just 6. And so you can't simplify this expression any further. And so this is our simplified expression for the perimeter, and we're just going to set equal to the actual value of the perimeter, which is 42. And so this right here is our equation for this hexagon. Let's move on to problem number 3. Problem number 3 says use the equations for the perimeter of the shapes above and solve for x. And so if you look at these shapes over here, they all have the same side length and perimeter values as the ones above. And so we're going to take the equations that we got from above and we're just going to solve them for x. And so for this triangle right here, the equation we had from above was 2x plus 17 is equal to 23. And so we're just going to solve this equation. And so to solve it, we're first going to subtract 17 to get the x value isolated on one side. And so we have 2x, and then the 17's cancel each other out, which is equal to 23 minus 17, which is 6. And then we're going to divide this by 2 to get just the x, so divide it by 2 right here. And so 2x divided by 2 leaves us with just x, which is equal to 6 divided by 2, which is 3. Since there are no units specified anywhere for this, we're just going to say x is equal to 3 units. And this is going to be our final answer. For our next one, the equation that we had gotten was 14x is equal to 112. And so to solve this, all we have to do is divide this side by 14 and divide the other side by 14 to just get x alone. And so 14x divided by 14 gives us just x, which is equal to 112 divided by 14, which is 8. And again, there are no units specified, and so we're just going to say units. And so x is equal to 8 units is our final answer. For this last one over here, the equation that we had gotten was 6x plus 6 is equal to 42. And so to solve this one, we want to get the x variable alone, and so we're going to subtract both sides by 6. And so that leaves us with 6x, and then the 6 minus 6 is just equal to 0, and they cancel each other out, which is going to be equal to 42 minus 6, which is 36. And now what we have to do is just divide this side by 6 and divide the other side by 6. And so 6x divided by 6 is just leaves us with just x, which is equal to 36 divided by 6, which is just 6. And since there are again no units specified, we're just going to say units. And so this is going to be our answer. I hope everything was pretty easy to follow along and to understand. Please like, subscribe, and share, and comment any other topics you would like me to do, or any other questions you have on this or other topics. Also, be sure to follow me on Instagram and on Facebook in the description below. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye!